Welcome back to Real Estate Mindset. Today's video is going to be absolutely bonkers. Now, the data is in, and what was once an extremely popular trend of working from home is now turning into an absolute nightmare for American homeowners across the nation, and especially with the continued tech meltdown that's only putting more and more pressure on Americans that work at home to get back to the office. And what that is doing in turn, completely messing up any current homeowners who purchase based on the thought and concept that they can continue to work from home. And I'm going to show you guys today some trends on exactly how many people, you guys, so many people, but we're going to look at the trends on exactly how big a problem this actually is. So we'll look at the trends, how many people actually are working from home, and then we're going to take a look at some stories, really some nightmares about people that had to actually go back to work. Some of these guys have to drive 5 hours one way. So in other words, we have a potential little baby black swan brewing, and again, related to the tech collapse in the work from home department. And that's especially important to understand because part of the reason for the run up in some of these local housing markets like Boise, Phoenix, Austin is because of tech jobs and the ability to work from home. So I believe as we continue and as more and more unemployment happens, we're going to actually see those trends start reversing, and that's going to take an absolute beating on the housing market. And here's the thing, everyone's saying the rates are low again, people are going to go out there and start buying. That's far from the truth because this is what remains: overvalued houses that are drastically unaffordable. So this magical blanket of buyers, I'm telling y'all, it's not going to come. What we need to worry about right now is anyone that recently purchased. Those are the people that we need to be paying attention to because they're telling us the true story of what it's like to be trapped in their house. But either way, guys, do me a favor, understand I'm not a financial advisor, even though my bio is as someone that's frustrated because I'm renting and I don't want to rent no more. And what the heck with these bank runs and bailing out the banks, right? What? Trillions of dollars? Are you serious? I'm frustrated, I'm upset, and I'm worried. And for that, like this video. I'm just trying to let you guys know what I'm seeing through my eyes. Comment below, hit notifications. But either way, let's get started with looking at some trends. I'm going to go over this article right here from Jack Flynn that wrote this. And I'm going to have this listed in my description, obviously, y'all. And you guys could really dig into this if you'd like. But let me move my picture here so we can really get started. Now, again, I really want to read this so we can really put in perspective how in trouble these people actually are and how in trouble the markets are going to be that had a massive pandemic boom as a result of working from home. But look at this, some of this information. Let me read this. Research summary. Since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, the number of people working from home, voluntarily or involuntarily, has increased dramatically. Further, despite the fluctuating threat of the pandemic today, remote work only seems to be growing more popular. That's what it looks like. That's what they thought around October of last year, right? Now let's continue. Knowing that we've gathered all of the latest and most essential remote workforce statistics according to our extensive research. So they put a lot of emphasis on actually getting us the statistics. And look at this, 26% of U.S. employers work remotely as of 2022. That is a huge number, y'all. That is a huge number. If we do have a black swan event as far as work from home, people not being able to work from home anymore, think of the massive implications that will have on those local housing markets. Again, Boise, Austin, Phoenix, high-tech hub areas like that. There are expected to be 36.2 million American employees working remotely by 2025. Now, I don't think that's going to, come to fruition because these people are starting to realize that they messed up, and we'll get to that towards the end of this video. 40% of workers believe that they've been more productive while working at home during the pandemic. 16% of U.S. companies are fully remote. Did y'all know that? That is crazy. That's probably why we're seeing such big vacancy rates in commercial real estate. Remote jobs now make up 15% of work opportunities in the US. Massive, massive opportunities to work. So maybe that's where we start really seeing the unemployment rate spike. Obviously from tech workers, obviously as companies continue to do poorly, they're going to eliminate stuff like that. Now, look at this. This is a share of Americans working remotely. This is really, really surprising information here. Now, before the pandemic, I just want to point out we were at 5.7% of workers. Look at this, 2018, 5.7% of workers. It ballooned up to 41.7%, obviously the lockdowns, but we're sitting at 26% of Americans working remotely right now. Does that not blow your mind, you guys? Let me read a little bit more of these statistics. 66% of US employees work remotely at least part-time. 66% of US employees. Fathom that for a second here. Like almost, I mean, I can work remotely, right? I can work remotely. I'm working remotely right now. I'm working out of my house right now. So I guess I fall into that. But holy smokes, currently 68% of Americans would prefer to be fully remote. At least 50% of employees. Remote work reduces stress. In other words, what I'm saying is the entire housing market has been changed and basically broken over the last 3 years. We have seen so much migration and so many crazy trends. It's really hard for a lot of people to get the pulse on the housing market. But what I'm specifically telling you guys, we have so many black swan events. We have so many different things happening right now. And one of the things that we're really not talking about a lot as far as that black swan is the unemployment coming from the tech sector. Those tech sector homeowners that migrated may have to go back home, right? There may be a flood of inventory popping up over the next few months in those pandemic tech boom towns. So we'll want to watch that. Let's dig in more into the actual stories about what happened to some of these people that purchased houses based on their ability to work from home. And now that has been stripped from them, let's see what's happening and how they feel. And we'll really dig into these stories by reading an Insider magazine article titled "Many People Who Bought Homes Far Away but Are Now Getting Called Back to the Office Are Pretty Much Screwed." And that's exactly what they are. Okay, so 3 bullet points. Remote work gave people the opportunity to move away from their employer's physical location. And honestly, that's kind of a big deal. Now, number 2, some companies are walking back remote work policies, causing panic for home buyers who moved away. Imagine being stripped of your income, basically, right? You just bought a home, largest transaction of your life, and now you got to go back to work, right? Pretty shocking. One person Insider spoke with stays with his parents during the week, while another sold at a loss. And we're going to see that. We're going to see these work from home people either sell at a loss, depending on when they bought, or they're going to cash in. Like I've been warning you guys is going to happen. We're going to have the 2 and 3 percenters start cashing in as things get more unaffordable. Now let's read this story about David Hybarger. Okay. He bought a home in the Florida Panhandle in January 2022 to be closer to his family. Before remote working home became the norm during the pandemic, he told Insider he had always felt the need to live in a tech hub given his career as kind of a business consultant called an agile coach. He had previously lived in the Bay Area and Seattle, and most recently in the bubbling tech hub of Raleigh, North Carolina, where he left in 2021 for Florida. 3 months ago, he took a new job with the understanding that he would be able to work remotely. Okay, that's fair, right? Take a job, they allow me to work remotely. Just kidding. 3 weeks ago, however, the company asked him to work from the office in the northeastern region of Florida. The kicker, it's a 5-hour drive from his new home in Freeport. And I could tell you guys, for the most part, why would people drive 10 hours to work? Either he's going to sell his house or he's going to quit the job. In my opinion, because he's going to be forced to. But let's read on. I've openly said I can't do it. I did feel a little bit blindsided by this. And you guys don't want to be blindsided yourself. And that's really what we're going over here. Now, he's not the only person experiencing the sudden shift in employer expectations about where they work. An increasing share of employees who have taken jobs with promised work from home benefits and moved away are facing a similar bind as they're called back to the office. With mortgage rates far from what they were 2 years ago, some employees are facing the decision to take a loss on their new homes in a slowing market, come up with a creative way to show face at work, or even quit. Think about how much of a nightmare this is. This is a huge, huge nightmare. He won't drive 5 hours to the office and he won't sell his house. During the interview process, the future employer asked him to locate and name the closest office to him. It was just an administration thing, he said, so he didn't think anything about it. So really crazy, y'all. He purchased his home in January of 2022 for $520,000. So, and his point is if I'm gonna spend $500,000 on a house, that means I'm somewhat committed to the area. So he's not in a really good position at all. Now, here's another interesting story. This is from a pharmacist who was asked to return to California after they moved all the way to Oregon. Think of how heartbreaking this is. This is so heartbreaking. People are really going to get hurt in the housing market, especially if you purchased after 2022. You're going to get hurt. Now, Jamie tried to escape the high San Diego rents and home prices by buying a house farther north, way farther north. Sexton, 44, purchased a home in Salem, Oregon in March 2022 for $375,000 before deciding to buy out of the state. She paid $4,000 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment in California. So that is insane, you guys. So to rent in California, some places $4,000 a month. Shocking. So it kind of does make sense for her to buy, but it doesn't make sense if she just lost her ability to pay her mortgage, right? But by January 2023, less than a year after closing on her home in Oregon, the pharmacist said she was asked to return to San Diego in another state after she just bought the house. At the moment, my job is still remote. The indication we were given a few weeks ago is that we are going to come back on site. Imagine how much she's panicking right now. Sexton planned for the possibility of a quick sell in Oregon in case she didn't like the area. But she was also banking on the red hot real estate market that she purchased in continuing. So she purchased this house with, maybe I'll live here, maybe I won't, but I'll be able to sell this house quickly because the real estate market is red hot. She was wrong. And a lot of other people are wrong just like her. And I hope you guys aren't going to be wrong. At the time, the market was so crazy. Everything was selling, she said, of March 2022. I thought, well, if I buy it and I don't like it, I can always resell it. But that market really stopped. And when people purchase like that, it's just so crazy to me. You can't purchase such a huge transaction with that type of mentality. Like, maybe I'll like it, maybe I will not like it, because look at what position she's in now. With the looming call to return to work in San Diego, Sexton decided to list her home June 2022 for $435,000 more than she paid for it. She received offers well below that, with the highest offer $330,000, the lowest offer being $300,000. So they are lowballing the heck out of her. Remember, she purchased it for $375,000. According to Zillow, Sexton ended up accepting an offer for $369,000, a $6,000 loss to the purchase price. She's closing this month and returning to San Diego. But the reality is, unfortunately, she's going to be losing a lot more than $6,000 because remember, the seller typically pays 8% in costs. If we take the purchase price of $369,000 times 8% or 0.08, we're going to add $29,520 to the $6,000 she's upside down for a total loss of approximately $35,000. Imagine that. Imagine being disheveled. Imagine going from San Diego to Oregon, being so excited. You're a homeowner, you're part of a hot market, and then a few months later, getting slapped with the reality, well, actually, the housing market is no longer red hot because things are so unaffordable that people just will refuse to buy. And the people that still can afford to buy are generally smart enough to understand that houses are drastically overvalued right now. So in conclusion, what we really need to do right now is pay attention to the trends, and we need to pay attention to all of the things that are breaking fundamentals, because remember, generally when things break fundamentals, they break, just like the bank runs. And that bank runs is going to put additional regulations on lending, which is going to make additional problems for the tech sector, because we've already seen it's failing. It's failing so hard, all of the bank runs. So more and more of those tech companies start going under. That's where we're going to get our main surge of unemployment, and that unemployment will spread across to the nation. So all I'm saying is, working from home and you want to become a homeowner, make extra sure that you're going to have your job 6 months from now. Now, other than that, guys, I really appreciate you following along with me on this journey. And if you're out there investing in real estate, you know I wish you luck, and I hope you win.